Award season's over, so we're moving on to Disney films. Now, A Wrinkle in Time wasn't one of those films I was like highly anticipating, but at least it looked okay from the trailers I'd seen. Plus, Ava DuVernay was directing this, and I've been a fan of Ava DuVernay's like previous films, especially Selma and the documentary she directed on Netflix called 13th. So I figured I'd at least give it a shot. By the way, I haven't read the book at all, so I can't really compare the two. But I have heard that this is one of those books that's really hard to actually turn the plot into a film. And for the most part, unfortunately, I kind of agree with that. To be completely honest, I didn't really enjoy A Wrinkle in Time all that much. I mean, if I'm going to start off with some positives, though, I do think the visuals in this film were spectacular to look at. I can imagine translating all this crazy stuff from the book onto the big screen is probably a really difficult task, especially since what you see in the film is pretty crazy. But I think they really hit the mark here with that, because it looks really awesome. There's very vibrant colors in all these different places that you go. So it was really easy to actually watch all that stuff, because it was actually really cool to look at. Also, I'm not really into the whole makeup and all that stuff, but the makeup and the costumes that most of the characters wore throughout the film I thought were actually pretty cool, especially, because Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, and Mindy Kaling, they all have different costumes and makeups and hairstyles, because they alternate a lot. And those did look really cool. They were interesting looking, so I guess that is another plus to the film. I also did really like the cast they assembled for this film, because they got, A-list talent, because you got Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling, Zach Galifianakis, Michael Pena, Chris Pine, Gugu Mbatha Raw. I mean, stacked cast. Not all of them gave great performances, but none of them were, awful at all. So I guess I could say that's kind of a positive. Moving on to the negatives, though, there's probably a good portion of this film that's dedicated to stuff that really is kind of pointless to the overall plot, and it kind of makes the whole story confusing and kind of a mess to follow through if you're just a casual moviegoer. Because the kids are supposed to be going on this big old mystical journey to save Chris Pine, and there's a lot of events in this film that really felt like they weren't needed at all. And, especially there's one part where they're just running around in a field and flying through the air, and I'm just sitting there kind of what is the point of this in this film? It has nothing to actually do with the main plot of this whole saving Chris Pine's character. And that's just one example of that in the film. There's actually several of them. I'm not going to give them all away because that's spoilery, but if they had any effect on the actual progression of the film, that would have been fine. But there's moments that it just felt like filler to me. It probably doesn't help that a lot of the characters in this film are kind of hollow, if I'm being honest. I mean, the main girl, she's fine for what she's doing, but she doesn't really have, too much motivation. Doesn't really have very many characteristics either, since most of her main characteristics is she's really smart, and she really misses her dad, which is pretty much the whole motivation she has for doing what she does in the film. There's really not much else to her character. And the two other main kid lead characters, only one of them is actually pretty obnoxious, if I'm being honest. I'm not going to say which one. You'll just have to figure it out if you see the movie. But one of them was fine, and one of them was, pretty much obnoxious throughout most of the film. Oh, and one more thing. There's a couple songs that play. I guess they're, from the soundtrack of the film. I haven't really listened to the soundtrack. But sometimes they play, these different, pop song kind of variations in certain scenes, and it kind of is really distracting. I guess it doesn't really add anything. It's more annoying than anything else. They really just felt like they didn't need to be there. They were just shoehorned in post-production. But because they don't really add anything. But you'll see what I mean if you see the film. Unfortunately, I can't really recommend this film. It's just really all over the place plot-wise. There's weak characters. There's some good visuals, but that doesn't really, save the film entirely. You're just going to walk out of this and you're going to be confused because the plot's all over the place. But yeah, if I had to give a score, I'd probably have to give A Wrinkle in Time a D+. But yeah, those are just my thoughts about the film. Feel free to leave a comment on what you thought of A Wrinkle in Time when you get a chance to see it. It comes out this weekend. Feel free to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and until the next time, I'll see you guys later.